So once I get to this screen, I automatically am going to go ahead and sign in. This will bring me to my home screen. So these are different people that I follow, and these two are specifically my 4th grade teammates. So I can see maybe assessments that they've added that I might want to take. Like this one is a Time for Kids article that we read every Friday. So I would probably go in and I would add that to my assessments. But what I would do is I would start off with my trackers, because that's going to show me my class list. And mostly I use this for math class. That's something that I use daily. So I'd click on my math class tracker. And here it has a list of my students. And I can sort them by their first and last name, or I assign them a specific number special to our class. And here you'll see the different standards that have been added for me by MasteryConnect. So it goes all the way throughout. And what you'll notice is the colors are things that I've already assessed. And these are the most recent assessments that the students have taken. So looking here, I can click on that specific standard and it will open up for me. And you can go ahead and you can see all of the different assessments that they've taken, that summative or the formative assessment. Here in red, where you see this red dot, that means that that was my pretest, and it wasn't looking so great. 18 students, based off the pretest, needed some remediation, and it says that off to the side. 4 were near mastery, and then 2 had complete mastery, but no one exceeded mastery, so no one got a 100% on that. And you can look at the different assessments that I've given throughout that unit, and little by little each of them will grow. Now these tabs right here, they show the most recent assessment. So it looks like I still have a few students that need remediation, and they've been placed in different ability groups to work on that. And then the rest have definitely exceeded mastery. A few are near mastery, but for the most part, I knew that I was able to move on to a new standard based off this assessment. Now, if I wanted to go to a different standard, I can click up here. And specifically next week, we're going to be working on MBT 6. So I click in here. This is the pre-assessment that my students took yesterday. So based off these results, I can see that 9 are in need of remediation for this skill, and then 7 were near mastery, and 4 were mastery for this skill. What I'm going to do now, or what I plan to do this weekend, is I will go ahead and I will group my students into like abilities so that it's easy for me to target their instruction and differentiate it. Now, if I wanted to go ahead and look at different assessments that I could add for this specific skill, I can go to this orange tab and click Add Assessment. That's going to allow me these different options, and specifically what I like to do first is I like to search the community. So since I was in that specific standard, it already tells me that I'm looking at assessments for MBT 6. Now if I go here, it will show me the alignment, and I'm going to do single standard for right now. So here it gives me the most recent, most used, most view, highest rated, and then the peer reviewed. What I like to do is the most used, because those are going to be the most effective, I feel, the ones that have been checked and that they are good and good sound assessments. So I might use something like this. I'll click on this and look at the assessment, and it will give me a preview. And if I decide that's something that I would like to add, if I want my students to use, I would click Add to Tracker. Now it says that it's at different mastery levels, so I would convert the assessment, because Kitten County uses a 4-point assessment. And it still has the correct answers listed. All I have to do is put in my own specific scoring guide. So I would say if the student exceeds mastery, they're going to get 100% or a 10 out of 10. Mastery, you'll be a 9. And then near mastery, an 8. I could change this for individual students, or if I feel like I want to change it at any point, I can go back and do that. So now I've changed it or converted it to my specific range, and I'm going to add it to my tracker now. It automatically highlights that it's going to go into my math class, so I add to my selected. And then right here it pops up. You can see that there's no scores in there, so my students haven't taken this kind of assessment yet. What I can do is push this assess. It will give me a code that I can then put into an iPad such as this. I go to my mastery scanner. I enter in that specific test ID. And then that's going to bring up my class list, and then it's going to allow me to specifically scan that assessment. And once it's been scanned, it will pop up that it's been scored, and it will give me a score out of 10, a percentage, and then it will tell me which questions they missed. Now I can do a teacher view here, or I can do a student view, so they won't be able to see other students' scores as well. So this really allows me to look at their scores quickly, and it also allows the students to look at that as well and make test corrections or assessment corrections and learn from their mistakes. So it's very useful. All right, so this student is clearly ready to have his test scored. Good job, Jeremy. Go take a look at number 9 and make that correction in a different color for me, okay? So looking here, I can see a student that is near mastery. I can see a student that needs remediation. And then I can also see a student that has exceeded mastery for this skill. So once students have been scored, I can go back to my main computer and I can look at the results. So if I go here, it's my language room. I can click into that standard that I've specifically assessed. Reading, which was reading informational 4.2. And here you can see other Time for Kids quiz that they've done. But specifically, we're looking at the Time for Kids bridge. So it's already color-coded it for me. So I can see the students in red may need some extra comprehension help. And that's something that I would maybe use an ability grouping for or give them specific assignments catered to that. I have one student who has exceeded the mastery, and then quite a few, 4 that are near mastery, 1 that has mastered that skill. So I can use this data to look at different homework options that I have specific to that skill, or pull them aside for different grouping purposes. And then once all students have taken that, you'll see that the most recent assessment will appear here. So this student before on our Going to Mars assessment that we did, he scored a 9. So that was mastery for me. But now in the most recent one, scored an 8, so that's near mastery for that skill. And once all students have taken the assessment, you'll see that all of their most recent assessment colors, or the color coding patterns, will appear right here for me. I can also use this, since I use this type of assessment every single Friday with our Time for Kids magazine article. I can go through and I can look at the different assessments that they've been given specific to Time for Kids. So if we turn our attention to the computer, I can see all of the different Time for Kids quizzes that they've done, and I can compare it. So looking here at the Dino Hunter quiz that they took a few weeks back, almost every single student got exceeded mastery for that skill level. So maybe it was an easy article, I might infer that, because almost all of them got that mastery or that exceeding mastery. And if I go over to the most recent ones, I see more of that mix of the remediation, near mastery, mastery, and then exceeding mastery. And I can also see their growth over time, because this was the first article that we did, second, third, and fourth. So I can look at their progression over time as well, which really helps me see their growth.